John, you can just start.
Well, hello and a very warm welcome to all of you, wherever you are in the world. It's a real pleasure to have you with us. This is, of course, the first ever World Refugee Forum, and we're delighted, of course, to host it on World Refugee Day. It's a significant day, it's an important occasion, and of course, to have you with us is a real pleasure. But it wouldn't be a proper occasion if we didn't have our opening address from our president, Dr. Chungwon Choue, and he will now present a short video welcoming you to this first ever World Refugee Forum.
Family, today is World Refugee Day. On this day, we remember the difficulties that refugees and displaced persons around the world experience in their everyday lives. It is also a day when we reaffirm our commitment to making the world a better and more peace-loving place for everyone. We are one humankind, regardless of social status. When children play with each other, they treat one another like their own. Everyone should have an equal opportunity to live, to work, to play, and to have dreams to work for. The Taekwondo Humanitarian Foundation was founded on such beliefs, and together with World Taekwondo, we have embarked on a journey where peace is more precious than triumph. Over the years, our two organizations have partnered with other like-minded organizations to offer hope through sports. I wish to thank our partners for jointly offering their services to the community. At the Olympic Games in Tokyo next month, we will have 3 refugee athletes representing Taekwondo. We are also hopeful that there will be 1 refugee athlete when Para Taekwondo makes its debut at the Tokyo Paralympic Games. Today, we also celebrate the indomitable spirit of refugees and displaced persons through the first World Refugee Forum organized by the Taekwondo Humanitarian Foundation and World Taekwondo. We hope that this forum will grow into a platform for refugees and displaced persons to share their experiences and receive recognition and hope for a better future. On this World Refugee Day, I wish to reaffirm Taekwondo Humanitarian Foundation and World Taekwondo's commitment to help refugees and displaced persons through sport and service. Thank you.
And thank you indeed, of course, to our President, Dr. Choue, with the warm sentiment as always, putting aside and making sure that everything is organised, leading with the vision. And of course, we move from the President now to the Prince. It is an auspicious occasion. It is a delight to welcome along His Royal Highness Prince Rashid bin Al Hassan. He's the President, of course, of the Jordan Taekwondo Federation. And I understand, Prince Rashid, you would like to make some opening remarks. The floor is yours.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you very much for having me. And of course, thanks. Sorry, am I still with you?
We can hear you well, but we cannot see you. If you could kindly share your video. There we go, perfect.
Can you see me?
Very well.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me. And of course, thanks to our president and to everyone who is here today. I wanted just to make a very brief statement to thank all the people who've been involved, both in setting up today and obviously in supporting the refugee programs that are so important, particularly in our part of the world. I should have started by saying I'm speaking from Amman, and as you know, we have received successive waves throughout our history of refugees, and this is one of the very small glimmers of hope and good news stories that we hope to build on in this context. And the story of Taekwondo in Jordan is very, very linked to the internal situation that we have with refugees going back to the 70s. In a very difficult time, Taekwondo started being a great equalizer for young Jordanians of all walks of life, regardless of origin, and has continued to be so. So thank you all very much. A special thanks to the UNHCR, who continue to do so much good and valuable work in this country and this region as a whole. So thank you very much.
Of course, thank you, Prince Rashid, for your thoughtful and considered opening remarks there. Obviously, you touched on the importance of Taekwondo in Jordan, but also the influx of refugees over a number of decades. You know, since the launch of the Azraq Taekwondo Academy in 2016, it's brought hope to many in the region and to us around the world. How proud are you of the sustained progress and the quality of the Taekwondo athletes that are now emerging from that camp?
The quality has, I think, surprised us all. But more importantly is the progress and the message that it brings. So if you look at the tremendously difficult circumstances that led to our guests ending up in the Azraq camp, and if you look at the remarkable spirit, not just in Taekwondo and not just in sport, but it's been typified, and there's really been a meeting of the spirit that we all hope and aspire to with Taekwondo, along with a remarkable spirit in the Azraq and the other communities. It has been a success because it has added an aspect of an indomitable spirit, a sense of normality, a sense of rising to and overcoming every challenge that we're proud of. It's also shown some of the best of our Jordanian local volunteers and the interactions that they have had with our guests. So overall, it's been a success story that we would like to see both expand, but also replicate in different communities. And I know our focus is Taekwondo today, but with other sports, and Taekwondo is often a leader in blazing a new path. And we hope this will encourage other sports, other donors and other volunteers from other sectors to, as proof of concept, to carry on in the same vein.
Well, absolutely. If they can follow in the same vein in any auspice and try to replicate that success, then obviously we'll be making that incremental progress that's so important, as you beautifully call them, to the guests in your country. You mentioned other sports. Of course, you were an athlete yourself, captaining the Jordanian polo team. What do you think is so special about sport? Now, we're talking about Taekwondo, of course, but what is it about sport that can reach the hearts and minds of young people, and no matter how complex or marginalized the position they're in?
I think, and obviously, my rather modest contribution as a sportsman aside, I've been fortunate enough to grow up. As you know, my father, His Royal Highness Prince Hassan, was the person who first worked to bring Taekwondo to Jordan. So I've been brought up with Jordanian sport writ large, but specifically with Taekwondo all of my life. And I think the unifying and equalizing factor, where in an area where there are so many fault lines, be it in my country or of our neighboring countries, where you're from, what religion you are, how wealthy you are, how fortunate you are, what school what you go to, how you came to be in the country that you're in. When you're an athlete, none of that matters. And on the contrary, the spirit and the respect that it instills, we see daily. It's not uncommon in any town in Jordan to see young Jordanians in their uniforms going to a Taekwondo class. When they're all dressed the same, when they're all going the same, when they're all holding hands at a traffic stop, you can't tell whether this is a refugee, whether this is Jordanian of this origin or that origin. All you see is young people being brought together by a love of the sport and by a sense of mutual respect. And that's been tremendously important for us. And in terms of the camaraderie, I'm now entering my 23rd year in military service, and there is a bond between the men and women that I serve with, which I can only see replicated in the sporting communities, who have that same respect, that same affection, that same understanding of what it takes to achieve a level of excellence, and at the same time, the same respect for the people that have gone before and made it possible, and the same hopes and aspirations to do a better job for the people who are going to come after you.
Well, of course, you mentioned there the uniformity, literally, of the Taekwondo uniform, and that language of sport and how it traverses barriers and breaks down those socioeconomic differences and creates that uniformity. Also, the fun of the sport. And of course, that's very much imbued in the Olympic values. Now, I know your wife, Princess Zaina, a double Olympian, flag bearer at the Beijing Olympic Games. I'm sure it's part and parcel of your daily life with your family, those Olympic values. How important is it that it's not just Taekwondo that's been taught in the Azraq Taekwondo camp, but also in the classroom, passing on those values, creating that awareness of self and that confidence in the individual?
I think it's the self-confidence, it's the self-respect. Remember, the Olympic values are not unique to the Olympics. They are human values that the Olympics shines a very important light on. And so when you see those values being taught in schools, and it's not so much being taught as being encouraged, as being focused upon, it has a trickle-down effect, not just by those who are fortunate enough or have the inclination to take part in the Taekwondo, but it has an effect on all of the families and friends and other young people who are around them. So we're tremendously fortunate to see the Olympic values being a contributing part, particularly in an area like a refugee camp, where people are so brave on a daily basis, and they deal with adversity that most people in other parts of the world are fortunate not to have to, and yet there is still a smile on their face. They are still putting the best of themselves with tremendous effort in difficult times out there for the entire world to see. So it's very encouraging, and hopefully the Olympics, which will shortly be upon us, will be another reminder of what it is, of the extraordinary achievement that both the athletes and the people who've made it possible have achieved.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the Olympics being shortly upon us in 33 days' time, no less. The Olympic refugee team, which contains 3 Taekwondo players, will take to the field. And of course, that's a massive inspiration for the students training at the Azraq camp. And we're going to hear from them a little bit later, the Al Ayoub family and one of the top prospects, Wael El Faraj. Do you have any message for them specifically, because we're going to speak to them, but also generally, what are your hopes in what is a complex year to host an Olympic Games? What's your overriding hopes?
I think, and I'll start with the message to the athletes, and obviously we wish them all the best, and it is an absolute commitment on the part of the JTF, the Jordanian Taekwondo Federation, that we will carry on supporting in any way that we possibly can. The JTF has gone from not only the Olympic achievement last time, but beyond that and before that. I noticed actually on the screen that Dana Toran was with us. There are so many people in Jordanian society who have gone on to do other things, both in sport and across the board, who have become role models. And there is absolutely no reason why that doesn't extend to our guests and to the members of the refugee team. So I hope they take heart from seeing the refugee team in terms of the support, the training, the technical support, the personal equipment, all of the things that aren't available to them under normal circumstances. As far as we're concerned as JTF, they are an extension of our Jordanian Taekwondo family. And as has always been the case in Jordan, and I hope will continue to always be the case, you share with your family, and they are very much part of that family. So whatever we can do, even if we can do a little bit more, like the waiving of the fees for the DAN tests, the JTF will cover that, but the material support and the volunteers, that support is not linked to this coming Olympics. There's no timestamp on that. while there is a need, we will do everything possible to provide that because they deserve it and it's the right thing to do. And as I said, we view them as an extension of ourselves.
And it's a wonderful of you to extend yourself, to give us your time today, to share those messages of hope, continued support, and hopefully JTF, other federations can see what you've done and see that as an emblem that they can copy. And of course, Your Royal Highness Prince Rashid bin Al Hassan, we thank you for your time. We wish you continued good health, success, and thank you so much for supporting those in the greatest need. Thank you.
Not at all. Thank you very much for having me. And again, a final reminder, when almost 750 million of the population of Jordan are today registered by the UNHCR as refugees, programs like this and messages of hope like this are tremendously important. So I thank you all very, very much for giving me the opportunity.
We warmly thank you for your appreciation and time as well, Prince Rashid. Well, you mentioned the UNHCR, and we're going to go from, well, one prince to another, a prince of a man, Claude Marshall, a THF board member, United Nations Refugee Agency sports impresario, basically the man responsible for laying the foundations for the refugee Olympic team that we will see in Tokyo. And we also, of course, saw in the Rio Olympic Games. So, Claude, I know that you're a man of many words, never short of a story or two, as we see your presentation loading up. It was a pleasure to speak with you yesterday, and I'm going to hand you the floor to give us your insight and wisdom. Claude, thank you.
All right, thank you, John. And I want to thank His Royal Highness for the kind words he said about the work that the government of Jordan is doing on behalf of refugees. They are a leading nation in our eyes for what they do. So, a refugee story that I'm going to tell you in the next minutes, from the simple fact that it's about refugees, can be a downer. But I want to start with the very few opportunities I get for an upper. And the upper is that 1 month from today, there will be 29 refugee athletes marching in to the stadium in Tokyo to help open the ceremonies, and they will compete in 12 different sports. And as you know by now, better than I, there will be 3 Taekwondo athletes within that. Now, unfortunately, the story has to end very quickly because all of these people, one way or another, without exception, has really gone through hell to make it to a country of asylum where they could practice a sport. Now, the refugees we serve are people who have lost nearly everything to violence and war. You could turn on the next there. Well, okay, that's the Olympics. Let's go to the next. Yes, thank you. These refugees have lost nearly everything to violence and war. They flee to where there's hope and safety. They cross a border in search of that safety. And why did they flee, you can ask? Well, there are myriad reasons. One is politics. They were of the wrong politics from the country they came from. And what is wrong, that depends on the leader, right? Or someone wanted, usually the leadership, wanted the land they live on, or even more accurately, what's under the ground. And where did they go? They went to a neighboring country. And when they get to a neighboring country alive and hopefully well, it is UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, that is there to welcome them along with the host government and tries to if one thing, they are not going into a Shangri-La of a camp. It'll be a tough life. They'll be living on food rations, simple housing. However, they will be safe. So it's the host country and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees who are working with the people, welcoming them and putting them into the type of housing you see in this slide. If you think how bad things can be, just give another thought that in these COVID times, you stayed at home to be safe. Not here. They left their home to be safe. And that's what a refugee has to go through. Let's see the next. I want to show you just these are pictures. This one, the next one, Sophie, and the last one, I think, in this series. These are photographs that you have seen in the national press of your country. They are refugees fleeing hell. This picture, these people came from a rubber boat across the Mediterranean and are saved by a non-governmental organization that has volunteers out there taking the most vulnerable children off a rubber boat and bringing them to shore. In this case, I don't know if it was Greece or Italy. It's probably Greece. Now, what is happening in the world of flight is that the people you have seen are sometimes families, and once in a while they are alone. And these unaccompanied minor, as a good bureaucratic title goes, means that the child is a minor and alone. And I can tell you two stories, quick ones, from the last Olympics in Rio. By the way, we have 29 refugees, 29 refugees this year. Every one of them has a story. There's not one that doesn't have one. In Rio, I met a young woman who was a judoka, I think is the incorrect pronunciation. She practices judo. She told me that her family saw what was coming in the village they lived in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And they said to her, get out and walk and run in this certain direction, which she did. She was 9 years old. Now, those of you who have families will know what a 9-year-old child is capable of. If you're still young, you will remember your own age, maybe at 9 years old. This girl walked for 3 days and had to live off whatever there was in the jungle where she was. A helicopter picked her up in the Congo, brought her to an internal camp, and when she got there at that ripe age of 9, she was lost, of course. And someone said, what can you do? And the girl says, I can't do anything. Yes, we're going to get you into sports. And they got her into a judo program where she excelled, by the way, and she became a member of the Congolese, the Congo sports team, and part of the judo team. And that's what this girl did. And then there was another one that you may have seen some stories on, a woman by the name of Yusra Mardini. Yusra was a Syrian fled on a boat to Greece from Turkey. After 20 minutes, the motor stopped. The boat started shipping water. Yusra and her sister, both of them were 15, 16 years old, were good swimmers in Syria. Yusra said, "I'm out front, you're in the back," to her sister. "I'll swim with the rope and pull the boat, and my sister, you will kick." And they were in the water for 3.5 hours, which should have been a motorboat ride of 15, 20 minutes. Needless to say, the Mediterranean was cold, and they made it to the shore, and this girl made it to the Olympic team as a swimmer in Rio, and now she has been chosen for the 100-meter butterfly for Tokyo. Now, what can you do as a kid alone? Unbelievable, isn't it? Now, each of these people, by the way, in the 10 that were in Rio deserve everyone's respect. They are genuine heroes. Now, I'd like to show you a video that captures what we are talking about, flight. Okay, Sophie. All right, here they are again, and we're going to have a new picture this year with 29 instead of 10. Their coaches are, some of the coaches are in this film. You can turn that film off, Sophie, thank you. I would like to start to talk a little bit about UNHCR and what the refugee agency does. Most of us who are not working in the field of refugees don't really understand how long the world has had refugees. They've had them. I'll give you a good example. Sophie, turn on that slide with Euripides. Euripides, it's the next one, I think. Euripides was a Greek historian, playwright, and he saw what was happening 2,700 years ago, and he understood there is no greater sorrow on earth than the loss of one's native land. So all these people always have the same. They lost their native land. And that is a tremendous loss. And when you talk to refugees and you say, what do you want? Without, it would be 99 out of 100. I would like to go home. They'd like to go home when it's safe, needless to say. They won't go home if it isn't. Now, how did this all start? You would think I've been with the, by the way, I'm retired many years ago. Probably look like I should be retired now, but I'm not, because this is a wonderful opportunity for me to do something worthwhile, and I do it. I retired from the business world in 1993. I was in Geneva for 29 years. I worked for an advertising agency, and when I retired, I had met the High Commissioner, a woman, Japanese, Sadako Ogata, and I said to her, you know, I'm going to retire a little bit early, in my early 60s, and I'm going to do that in a few months. I have heard you talk. I would like to work for the UNHCR, and I had retired very fortunately, owning part of the firm, so I could have an income that would keep me at the same economic level that I was while working. And she said, well, what do you want to do here? And she said, by the way, she said to me, I'd like you to help start private sector fundraising. We need, all our money comes from governments, but there are many things the governments want the private sector to pay for, and these are things that you could be collecting money for. And I said, fine. And then she said, what kind of salary do you want? And I said, none. And she said, you're hired. And that was it. I went to work, and then I looked very quickly with the regional operations in Geneva, where the headquarters of the refugee agency is. I looked for projects that companies, for example, or individuals could support. And as I got these projects, almost without fail, what happened was the people responsible for the region said, Marshall, will you do something for us for sports? And I said, what do you mean for sports? Get us some money for sports. Why, you don't have any money for sports? No, there's nothing. When a kid wants to play football in a camp,
I think,
when
Claude,
a kid wants to play football and, pardon me?
No, I was just going to say, Claude, I think that was someone calling you just to say, we're
If
doing
I'm
great for time.
Okay. No, it's all right.
No
So
problem.
what I have to turn this off.
No problem.
When we said, I'm sorry, I left this damn thing on.
You're a man in demand, Claude. We know that. And
No,
we also know...
you know, I'm not used to carrying a telephone booth around with me at my age. This thing is, it's useful, but if you don't hit the right buttons, you've got problems. Anyway.
Absolutely.
They said there was no money for sports, and that the local staff went out and bought footballs for the people. So I said, you know, yes, let's do something with sports. That was about 1994, 95. There was no sports staff. So I said to the people I reported to, I said, I've just created a new position for myself. I am the refugee sportsman, even though I'm not a terribly great sportsman, but they said, go for it, do it. And I'll give you the one thing that we did that I was proud of. It was a good beginning. I learned I learned who our neighbors were in Geneva. A lot of sport federations, Lausanne area, and the Olympic Committee. So I got my way into the Olympic Committee and I said, will you fund a project for me in a camp in Kenya? And what I need you to fix some playing fields and give us equipment and pay for a few coaches, which they did. And it wasn't we're talking about $25,000, $30,000 at the time. And we had a good program going. And the Olympic Committee people that I worked with said, can we come to Kenya and have a look to see what you're doing? And I said, yes, you can come. Okay, we went. And now we were patting ourselves on the back. Here were boys 6 to 8, 9 to 12, teenagers, bunch of boys, all playing volleyball, basketball, football, and they were having a hell of a good time. And this was part of the project, and they were playing it on fields that were fixed up where if you fell down, you weren't going to wreck your feet or your knees or your elbows or whatever. And I was happy with myself, and I got a tap on the shoulder. And there was a young lady who said, Mr. Marshall, yes, Miss Gladys would like to see you. I said, well, who is Miss Gladys? Oh, Miss Gladys is a refugee woman who runs the program for the young women refugees, in this case, teenagers. And she's in a hut up there and she'd like to talk to you. I said, fine. So I went. This is like going to the principal's office. I knew I was in trouble. I got to the hut. In the middle of this small hut was a big round table, and there were about 10 young women, girls, early teens, late teens, sitting around the table. And Miss Gladys said, Mr. Marshall, thank you for coming. These girls, as you see, are knitting, sewing, and crocheting. I said, yes, I see that. She said, you've been here now 5 minutes. What did you hear?
Claude, speaking of 5 minutes, and I know we're loving the story, but you have 5 minutes remaining because Dr. Vassilis is next. So
okay, I'll finish the story.
Love it.
Story. So she said to me, what did you hear? And I said, I heard the clicking of knitting needles. And that's it. She said, did you hear them talk? I said, no. You know, they don't talk to each other. Why? Because you guys in Geneva paid for sewing, crocheting, and knitting, and they sit around and do that. And while they're doing that, they don't talk because they think of the hell they have come from to get to this camp. And she said, if I let any of these 10 tell you what happened to her in the flight to safety in a refugee camp, you wouldn't sleep for a week. That was the that was the beginning of gender balanced sport programming. I could let you go now, John, and we could stop at that, okay?
Claude, the only
we
reason
can come back. We can come back to the lessons that sport restores lost childhood. Sport. This is a Taekwondo fellow who talked. Playing sports makes me feel like everyone else. It gives me a place to fit in and feel like I'm part of something. It gives me a home. Sport gives a young person stability, a sense of belonging and hope. Refugee children are ordinary children coping with extraordinary circumstance. Over to you, John.
Claude, apologies. It's just because of the limitations of time, but we got the essence of the journey that you've carried sport on and the Olympic refugee development. We understood there the aspects of the lessons learned that we have to learn and share from. It's also our Paralympic year. And I saw that you had a quote up there from Euripides in 431 BC. It's therefore convenient that we have another Greek in 2021.
Right.
We have Dr. Vassilis Kalyvas, and he's going to join us for his presentation. And then Claude will come back and we'll have a conversation with the two of you.
Fine.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Claude.
you.
I really appreciate it. And we're going to prepare now for Dr. Vassilis Kalyvas, Sport and Education Manager at the Hellenic Paralympic Committee, also a mentor within the IPC, the International Paralympic Committee, related to athlete development programs. And he leads various projects about the empowerment and social inclusion of refugees with disabilities through parasport programs. And with that lengthy introduction, I'm handing over now to Dr. Vassilis Kalyvas. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here with you. And I'm very happy that you have a very inclusive seminar. Besides including the topic of refugees, which is inclusive by nature, we also have refugees with disabilities who represent the extremely marginalized group of vulnerability among refugees. And we are very happy that in the Hellenic Paralympic Committee, in cooperation with the International Paralympic Committee and the Kalyvas Foundation and several other partners, we have made some efforts to deal with this topic since 2016. I will give you a very short, I will try to make it short presentation about what we have been doing since 2016. Give me a second. About including refugees with disabilities in parasports and Paralympic sports. As we all remember, the refugee crisis in Europe emerged in 2015, and it is still going on. Back in 2015, we had about 1 million refugees entering Greece. Not because they all wanted to stay and seek for a better future in Greece, but Greece was at the front line of the Mediterranean, and due to the war circumstances in Syria mostly, we had a big group of people coming at that time in Greece. At the beginning, it was very sudden, and we thought that would be a local, let's say, problem. But very soon after that, we all realized that Greece, Italy, and Spain were just the front line of their entrance. Most of them were looking to seek for a better future in Europe mostly. And very soon after that, we saw that was not a local thing, but it was a European thing. At that time, in Greece, there was an incident that acted as a fortunate incident to deal with the project most, because we had Ibrahim Hussein from Syria, a refugee that he had suffered an injury due to the war in Syria. He had lost his lower limb due to a war incident, and he was living in Greece for a year, and he had started training in swimming. So we were just a few months before the Rio Olympics and Paralympics. And as you all know, before the Olympics, the torch starts it starts from ancient Olympia in Greece, and then it's transferred to the hosting country of the Olympics. So before we pass the torch to the hosting country, there is a torch relay that takes place in Greece. And at that time, we invited Ibrahim to participate in this torch relay. This incident gave a lot of visibility. And very soon after that, we invited the International Paralympic Committee to act like the International Olympic Committee and form a refugee team for athletes with disabilities for Rio. And that was very good because the IPC really responded very fast and positively. And a few months after that, from spring to August, we had Ibrahim with another refugee athlete from Iran that was living in the States to form the first ever Paralympic refugee team that competed in Rio. And this was a very good incident, made us, gave us a lot of motivation to keep doing something about this. So we proposed to the IPC, International Paralympic Committee, and the Kalyvas Foundation to support with us a project about Paralympic education and development for refugees with disabilities. The project started back in 2016, and we had as objectives we set empowerment of the refugees with disabilities, social inclusion. And we also wanted to educate society because a major difficulty that takes place in the countries that host refugees is a big shock of the local communities about, oh, what's going on now? We have thousands, tens of thousands of people, even millions of people coming in our society, and what is this all about? And we thought that through this project, we could educate society that regardless of their origin and their religion and their cultural characteristics, they can all do sports, for example, and we better focus on things that unite us than things that give a feeling of discrimination. And also, we thought that would be a Paralympic development project, because after all, these people would be introduced into Paralympic sports, and in this way, there would be a Paralympic development. So the methodology we followed was we tried to find refugees with disabilities in their camps, in their accommodation settings, and go there and introduce them to the Paralympic aspect. After that, the ones that were interested into that were given opportunities to go in training venues and interact with athletes, local athletes, Greek Paralympians, about the sports they were doing and how they might be interested in doing them. So the ones of them that would like to do more after that would have the opportunities. We would give them opportunities to participate in training with the local athletes. And the essence would be that the ones of them that would be talented enough and motivated enough to go on, they would have also opportunities to compete in Paralympic sports and participate in competitions, local, national, and even international competitions. And with the support of always of the International Paralympic Committee, we were able to give them such opportunities. And the good thing is that the first 3 years of the project, we had about 25 athletes, refugees with disabilities, that participated in our project. 22 of them were males, 3 were females. This is an aspect that I would like to mention here, that it was very difficult for us to introduce female athletes into sports. We tried hard, but still it's not so easy. And 8 of them participated in national championships, and 3 of them were able to participate in national competitions. So our project has acted so far as a pool of potential athletes for the International Paralympic Committee to create the Paralympic refugee team in Tokyo. And we cannot speak about that as we only represent the Hellenic Paralympic Committee, but we're very happy to see that some of the athletes that participated in our project are potential athletes for the Paralympic refugee team in Tokyo, that we will see them in August. Our conclusion after this first 4 years of the project was that there are some key factors of success. When you decide to run, organize, and design a project for refugees with disabilities and introduce them in para sports, our conclusion is that there must be a commitment from the lead of the entity, of the organization that decides to run this project. This is not a project that you do it for PR or you do it for other reasons. you need to be committed. If you really believe in the power of sports for supporting vulnerable groups of populations like refugees with disabilities, and you really believe that sports is a very strong tool to do that, then you have made a very good start, and your program has good chances for success in the future. So we strongly believe in the commitment of the people who will undertake the responsibility and the commitment to organize such sports. Another key factor for success is you need to organize an interdisciplinary team, create a good networking and synergies. A refugee project for sports is above all, to my opinion, a sports project. No doubt about that. The lead should be a sports organization, but you cannot run it on your own because besides the sport aspect, there's also a humanitarian aspect, and you need to look for synergies that can help you and make it a win-win situation for all. So when we decided to run the project, we did not think about organizing sports programs at once, but we invested some time to create some trustworthy relationships with UNHCR department in Greece and other also organizations dealing with refugees in the field. And I think it's very, very important to create such trustworthy synergies. Funding is also a very important thing, a very important factor. We were very happy and lucky to get initial support from the International Paralympic Committee and Taekwondo Foundation, but also, as I will explain you after a while, we were able also to seek for funding in European programs and extend the impact of what we started. Active engagement of the national Paralympic community is also very important. As I described before, the lead is not, it needs to be committed, but also all the other levels of the sports structure of the Paralympic community in the country needs to cooperate. And after all, you need an inclusive approach. At the beginning, it's inevitable, but you need to look for refugees where they live. You need to try to welcome them in the sports organization structures of your country. But from the very first steps, you have to follow an inclusive approach and bring them together with your local athletes, clubs, etc. The project we ran gained a lot of visibility. Some of the athletes competed internationally. Some of them will also be in Tokyo. But we are very proud of saying that we ran an external evaluation of the project using the Choue model, which is the social return of investment model. Mr. Marshall, I'm sure he is very well aware of Choue, return of investment in the market, but there's also the Choue model, the social return of investment, evaluating the impact of money invested in projects that belong in the social sector. So what we did is that we tried to evaluate what is the social value index between money spent for the project and money going back to the beneficiaries and all the other sides involved in this project. So after running qualitative research with refugees, their families, NGOs helping us, volunteers, partners, sponsors, etc., we had very, very positive results. And we saw that besides giving you the satisfaction that you're helping people doing such sports, it's also very effective in terms of getting money back in a value of kind form, of course, to society. We also tried to disseminate our project. We invited the European Paralympic committees to follow us and see what they can do in their countries in terms of helping refugees with disabilities to be involved in Paralympic sports. We organized some summits in Athens in back 2018, and we also tried to to organize the basis for expanding the project in other European countries too. So basically what we have done, what we have been doing, it started in 2016 between the Hellenic Paralympic Committee and the Agitos Foundation cooperation. The next 2 years, from 2017 to 2019, the project was supported by the European Union and the Commission, and it was partnered by 8 more European national Paralympic committees. And right now, we decided that what we did these first 3 years of the project gave us enough material and enough conclusion to take this to another stage and organize the STEADY project. The STEADY project is a European Erasmus Plus sport project, which means sports as a tool of empowerment for disabled, displaced youth in Europe. We are together 9 partners from 8 different countries. IPC is also a very valuable partner of the STEADY project. And we decided to focus on creating some tools that, based on our conclusions from the past years, that would be helpful for NGOs, for professionals in the field of sports, for professionals in the fields of refugees and social field, that can be used in order to organize programs, sports programs for refugees with disabilities. So the main objectives of the STEADY project is to conduct a baseline study and report parasports and refugees cases all over Europe. We have already done that. And also to develop a manual and handbook for the use of parasports as a tool of refugee empowerment and inclusion. Furthermore, we're trying to expand our network and build a stakeholders list with the participation of more NPCs, NGOs, and other organizations. And the STEADY project is ongoing right now. It's supposed to be at the end of 2021. Due to the COVID situation, as we all know, we had some difficulties, and it's going to be extended for 6 months more. But we are in this position now, and we hope that what we have been doing is important and will help in the future more organizations, more individuals interested in this field, in the use of sports as an empowerment and social inclusion tool for refugees with disabilities, to be stronger and have a greater impact in the future. So basically, this is our experience about this. We were very proud of doing that. We're very proud because it gives us a lot of rewarding feelings. We're very proud because we will see some of our beneficiaries in Tokyo in almost 1.5 months. And after all, it gives us a great pride because we believe that parasports is about inspiring people, it's about including people, it's about empowering people, and through this project, we put this theory and this motto in practice every day, and we're happy about that. Thank you very much.
Dr. Vassilis, thank you very much. It's a wonderful pleasure to listen to the organization, the administration that creates the inspiration. And obviously, we have to see then the fruits of that labor, hopefully at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo and beyond. And we wish you the very best of luck with all of those initiatives. World Taekwondo is a willing partner. And of course, that inclusive interdisciplinary approach that you mentioned, I'm sure that you, me, and Claude can get together after this and maybe create an academic session and get some of the key learnings and share that.
Of course, that would be a pleasure for us. And as I told you, it has to be a win-win situation. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So, yeah, what you have just suggested directs us towards this conclusion.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to that conclusion. Thank you, Vassilis. And of course, we heard about the organization, we heard about the empowerment, we heard about the inspiration. Let's have a little look now at the next generation. It's the Olympic Refugee Foundation video. So Harry, my colleague, will prepare that. And just to let you know, the IOC has been helping refugees since 1994 in partnership with Claude at the UNHCR. He helped to lay the foundation for that. And of course, we've heard that there were 56 refugee scholarship recipients. 29 of them are now competing in Tokyo. And we're going to get a chance to watch a video of that. That Olympic Refugee Foundation is the next chapter in the IOC's commitment. And there's a little quote that I want to read out for you. The foundation shares strong links with World Taekwondo. And this is the quote. We at the Olympic Refugee Foundation highly respect the work of the THF, World Taekwondo, in this area. And we are blessed to count Dr. Choue as a member of its board. The goal of the foundation is for 1 million young people affected by displacement to access safe sport by 2024. So we're going to have a look now at a video about some of the progress towards that. Harry, thank you.
Refugee athlete James Chenichek ran the 400 metres at Rio 2016 in 52.89 seconds. In that time, 4 people will have been forced to flee their homes in the ongoing global refugee crisis. The numbers of people forced from their homes by conflict and war is the highest it's ever been. 68.5 million people. Almost 60% of those are under the age of 25. One thing that makes a real difference to the mental and physical well-being of young refugees is sport. Since the 1990s, the IOC and UNHCR have been developing sports projects in refugee settlements and camps in more than 45 countries. When the first ever refugee Olympic team competed at Rio 2016, it opened the eyes of the world to the untapped potential of refugees. In 2017, the IOC took another leap forward, the creation of the Olympic Refuge Foundation.
With the creation of the Olympic Refuge Foundation, we wanted to make our assistance more consistent. We wanted to support not only high-level refugee athletes, but refugees in camps and in areas all over the world.
Recognising the power of sport, the IOC, UNHCR and Terre des Hommes have collaborated to develop a sport for protection approach, helping to organise sports activities in a safe and welcoming environment where young people can shape their own futures, enhance their well-being and promote peace and development across their communities. This approach has been successfully applied in many refugee camps and disadvantaged settings around the world by the IOC and UNHCR, alongside other renowned organisations such as international NGOs and national Olympic committees.
bahaye abana bacu siporo bari kubaha uburere bwiza
kuko ndiko ndakina basket ngira ico nungutse cyane cyambere ni siporo irafasha mu mubiri wanje. Hama ikindi naco ndagira ubushuti hamwe n'abandi bikamfasha mu buzima bwanje bwa buri munsi.
Olympic Refuge Foundation partners around the world are championing the values and the benefits that sport can bring to social cohesion and well-being, leading to remarkable outcomes for young refugees and communities.
Sport institutions can also play a considerable role in refugee responses. Through this partnership, we're able to ensure better access to sport programs for some of the world's most disadvantaged children and youth.
Sport for protection projects are not just providing safe spaces to play sport, but enabling young people to become true agents for positive change in their communities.
Well, truly worthy and truly inspirational. And somewhere behind those inspirational images, Claude, Vassilis, they're doing their emails, they're making the phone calls, they're creating the framework that allows this to happen. And we try to do the same here in World Taekwondo through the efforts of the THF. And I know that one of the big success stories that we talked about at the start of this initial forum was the Azraq camp. And we're going to have a little look now at a short video from the Azraq camp and Zatari camp. And that will be followed by interviews with the Al Ayoub family and Wael El Faraj in the Azraq camp. So we'll have the video and then we'll get to talk to some of the people that are actually in that video. Harry, thank you.
أنا اسمي وائل فواز الفراج، لاجئ سوري في الأردن. حاصل على حزام أسود 2 دان، ومن خلال مشاركتي وتدريبي نادي التايكواندو الأكاديمية اجتني منحة أولمبية. تايكواندو مرة بالصدفة شفتها كان في عرض إلها في منظمة كير، فحبيت إني أكون واحد من الأشخاص اللاعبين نفس هاي الرياضة. فهون أول ما التقيت بالكابتن عاصف وقال إن شاء الله راح تكون معنا وتطلع بطل يوم من الأيام. وهون بلشت حياتي.
أنا عاصف صباح، مدرب مخيم الأزرق للاجئين السوريين في أكاديمية التايكوندو في المخيم، مع حزام أسود 7 دان. في البداية بحب أحكي عن كيف بلشنا التايكوندو في المخيم. هي كانت فكرة من رئيس الاتحاد العالمي للتايكوندو الدكتور تشو في دعم اللاجئين حول العالم وتمكينهم من خلال رياضة التايكوندو. فبلشنا في المخيم باستضافة من منظمة كير، وتفاجأنا وتفاجأ الجميع أنه وائل فواز حصل على المركز الأول في فحص الحزام الأسود في الاتحاد الأردني للتايكوندو. الإشي هذا لفت انتباه الاتحاد العالمي للتايكوندو أنه في خامات كويسة، في طلاب كويسين ممكن يطلع منهم إشي كويس في تغيير على حياتهم، فشجعهم وشجعنا احنا كمان ورفع معنوياتنا. في عام 2018 شهر 4 بالتحديد تم افتتاح مبنى خاص في الأكاديمية التايكوندو في القرية الثالثة، وتشرفنا بزيارة سمو الأمير راشد كان في الافتتاح. الآن عندنا تقريبا 15 طالب حزام أسود، منهم 1 2 دان، وفي منهم كمان ناس قارب يفحصوا حزام أسود 2 دان. وإحنا أي فحوصات أو أي بطولات طبعا من خلال الاتحاد الأردني للتايكوندو تكون مشاركتنا، هو الجهة الرسمية الراعية إلنا في الأردن. التايكوندو هي أفضل طريقة لحفظ العقل والجسد والروح، من أهم الرياضات اللي بتحافظ على الانضباط.
نتيجة اللجوء نحن كان عندي أولادي ضغوط نفسية، واللي شافوه نتيجة الأحداث اللي صارت معنا بسوريا، فكانت نفسيتهم تعبانة، حاسهم حياتهم مش طبيعية، يعني مذهولين. فبعرف أنا التايكوندو غير من نفسية الطفل أو أي إنسان يلعب بالتايكوندو، فحبيت فوراً أسجل أولادي فيها، وسجلت أنا وأولادي سوا. صرت ألاحظ أنه في تغير بنفسية الأطفال عندي، صار يحتكوا بالمجتمع المحلي، يحتكوا بزملائهم داخل الصالة. عندي ابني اسمه رضا، عمره 8 سنين، هو أصغر لاعب مخيم الأزرق حصل على الحزام الأسود 1 دان. فكنت دائما أشجعه، ولما حصل على الحزام الأسود 1 دان أنا فرحت، افتخرت. بعد ما أخذ الحزام الأسود صارت عندنا فرصة نشارك ببطولة هي كوفيد-19، مشاركة عالمية شاركوا فيها 20 دولة عالمية. فشارك ابني، أنا شاركت كمان معه، وحصل على المركز الأول، جاب ميدالية ذهبية بفئة عمره، وأنا جبت الميدالية الفضية كمان. هاي أول فرصة نشارك فيها ببطولات عالمية. يعني البطولة هاي اللي شاركنا فيها أعطتنا حافز لقدام، صارت أعطتنا شوية طموح، تفأنا شوي بالحياة، يعني إنه طفل صغير وأنجز وقدر ينافس منافسة على مستوى العالم.
يوم من الأيام إجا الكابتن عاصف معاه ورقة إنه من خلال توقيعي راح تكون إنه إلي مشاركة في الأولمبياد. فهون حكى لي إذا استغليت هذا الوقت وتدريباتي وتعلمت شو راح أكون يوم من الأيام. فهون أنا كنت فرحان وهو كان فرحان لإلي أكثر ما أنا أفرح. فهون كمان روحت على الدار صرت أطمح وعمر المستقبل بعقلي وصرت أخطط كثير شغلات، يعني حسيت بالمسؤولية وحسيت بالأهمية.
أي نجاح بيصير مع أي لاجئ في العالم بينعكس على اللاجئين كلياتهم.
تأجيل الأولمبياد هاي راح تكون فرصة لإلي وإن شاء الله راح أستغل هاي الفرصة. طموحي أنا أشارك بطولات محلية دولية خارجية، أكتسب خبرة منها وألعب أفوز أخسر من جميع النواحي لحتى أصل بالأولمبياد قادر ألعب، قادر أحرز ميدالية، قادر لأصل لهدفي اللي أنا حاطه ببالي.
Oh, simply incredible and truly inspirational. And of course, we now get a chance to speak with some of the main stars within those videos, and they are heroes and stars to all of us in World Taekwondo because they embody what Taekwondo is all about. As you can see, we're going to join all of the people at the Azraq camp, and hopefully they can see me and hear me clearly. And I'm going to ask if that is the case, because obviously we have distance. And I think indeed we have. Farah there ready on behalf of the group. And I would like to start by speaking with Mohammed Al Ayub, the father that we saw in the video there, and to ask him, how has Taekwondo training helped him personally? He's had so many things to deal with in his family life. How has Taekwondo helped him to give him that moment of peace? And hopefully you can hear as well.
التايكوندو رياضة غنية بالفوائد لمن يمارسها من الجنسين، أو تحقق فوائد على مستوى الجسمي والصحي من جهة، وعلى مستوى العقلي والنفسي من جهة ثانية. وأهم فوائدها تتيح القوة والقدرة والثقة بالنفس، تنشيط الفكر، صفاء الذهن.
لو فرح الترجم معناه فرح.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He stated that Taekwondo has influenced him on a personal level and on a physical level. It has helped to clear his head and to empty the stress of his life. He used it as a treatment for all the trouble he had been through in his life, and also has helped him to have a better influence on his physical fitness.
Well, he's certainly looking fit and strong, and one of the reasons for that, the man standing behind him or beside him, coach and instructor Asif Sabah. I didn't know that you would join us, but it's great that you're here, Coach Sabah. I wanted to ask to Mr. Mohammed Al Ayub, how important is Coach Asif Sabah to you and to all of the family sitting behind you?
ما مدى أهمية الكوتش صباح لإلك ولعائلتك؟
مدى أهمية الكابتن هو القدوة لنا، وهو اللي يعطينا دائما دافع.
He's the one who motivates us. He's the one who motivates us, and he's the one who gives us the motivation to continue and to train every day.
Fantastic. And I think we can see his work in action there, helping out young Dua Mohammed Al Ayub, the young blue belt, who's a little bit emotional and excited. We understand. And thank you to Coach Asif Sabah for being that extra support to the family as well. You mentioned, Mr. Mohammed Al Ayub, your competition, the silver medal for you, the gold medal for your son. Obviously, what are your future hopes for more competitions, and how can we help you to be part of more competitions?
ما هي طموحاتك للمستقبل وما هي أمنياتك التي نقدر أن نساعدك فيها لتحقيق هذه الأمنيات؟
أسعى بصفتي أب ولاعب تايكوندو على أن يحصل أبنائي على مراتب العليا في مجالين: المجال التعليمي والرياضي. حيث أسعى
إذا بتقدر تعطيني قليل من الوقت لأترجم فوري ولنستطيع أن نوصل الصورة إلى أكمل وجه. I hope he stated that he hopes that his children could achieve very good in the academic level for the school and also for the taekwondo level, so they can achieve in both directions.
أحب أشوفهم في المستقبل حاصلين على شهادات جامعية، حاصلين على جوائز ومسابقات عالمية في رياضة التايكوندو.
I hope that they achieve both certificates in universities and also achieve very good achievements in taekwondo, and they gain medals and they gain high belts.
وطبعا هذا يتحقق بجهود جميع الداعمين والمثابرة على تطوير الذات واكتساب الخبرات الإيجابية.
This can be achieved by all the sponsors who help to make a better influence on our lives and on the trainings that we receive here at Al Azraq Academy.
Fantastic to hear, and of course we're here to support at the THF. We heard with Prince Rashid at the start, all the support, not just in the sporting sense but the education sense. But I'm delighted to see Dua Mohammed Al Ayub, our young blue belt here, looks calm, looks happy, thanks to Coach Asif Sabah for that. And Dua, can I ask you, what is the most fun part of Taekwondo for you?
Dua.
حكيت لها هذا. شو بتحبي بالتايكوندو أكثر شيء؟ على صوتك.
الدرب والبطولات.
She likes to train the taekwondo and she likes championships and competition.
Well, we like watching you. We saw you in the video when your father said, my daughter Dua is a blue belt. You were showing the blue belt. So we're very proud of you for that. And we're glad that Taekwondo makes you happy. Do you think that Taekwondo also, as a young girl, makes you feel strong?
هل تعتقدي يا دعاء إنه التايكوندو بيخليكي فتاة قوية وأقوى من كل الناس التانيين؟
أحكي خليك التايكوندو قوية أحسن من هيك وشاطرة. أحكي لهم.
تخليني قوية بالحيل.
كمان. شو بتحسي؟
ثقة كبيرة.
ثقة كبيرة وإيش كمان؟
أوكي. خليني أسوي كل شيء بدي.
Okay, صراحة.
I feel I'm very strong, motivated, and I feel that I can achieve everything I want through playing Taekwondo.
And I think also you're entertaining all your brothers and sisters and friends in the club there. So well done, Dua. Good job. Shukran. Bye-bye. And I will ask now from your young daughter to your young son, both Reda and Osman, if they're available and they want to join us. Two strong champions, two young men. Maybe Osman, can you move a little? There we go. Perfect. Good man. I just wanted to ask you, first of all, to Reda and Osman. Reda, you were the first to get the black belt. How did that feel for you and also for Osman to become black belts, to become leaders in the camp?
رضا وعثمان، شو شعوركم بأنكم كنتوا من أوائل الطلاب اللي حصلوا على الحزام الأسود وكنتوا قائدين للطلاب بهذا الإنجاز؟
أول ما حصلت على الحزام الأسود شعرت بالفرح وصار عندي طموح لقدام، وصار إن شاء الله أدخل بطولات عالمية ومحلية، وإن شاء الله أخذ أكثر من ذلك.
At first, when I received the black belt, I felt so motivated to achieve more and more, and I'm really excited to participate in international championships and achieve better.
And Reda also?
فرحت وصار عندي طموح إن أتقدم وأخذ بطولات أكثر وعالمية.
I was also very happy and more motivated to achieve more.
And of course, both of you, you're very lucky. You have great inspirational leaders like your father. Also, we have, as we saw before, the great work of Coach Asif Sabah. What does your coach and your father mean to you?
شو بيعني لإلكم كوتش عاصف وأبوكم؟
أبي يعني لي إنه هو اللي شجعني عشان أدخل التايكوندو، وهو اللي قدم لي كل شيء يحتاجه الأب للابن.
My father is the one who motivated me to start my Taekwondo training, and he's the one who gave me everything he can to provide for me to be part of this academy.
والكوتش عاصف يعني هو المدرب وقدوتي، وهو اللي علمنا على الأشياء الإيجابية، وهو اللي علمنا على الطريقة الصح.
Coach Asif is my coach, and he's the one who motivates me, and he's the one who gives us all the energy we need to pursue in our trainings.
Fantastic.
رضا، بتحب تشاركنا شو بيعني لك كوتش عاصف ووالدكم؟
أبويا هو شجعنا خلانا نتقدم بهاي الرياضة، والكوتش عاصف هو اللي يدربنا وهو اللي يهتم بينا.
Our father is the one who motivates us, and Coach Asif is the one who trains us, and he's the one who gives us all the inspiration that we want.
Fantastic. And speaking of inspiration, will you be able to watch the Olympic Games on TV? And if so, which athletes will you be cheering?
رح تتسنى لكم الفرصة انكم تشاهدوا الألعاب الأولمبية على التلفزيون، وإذا لمين رح تكونوا بتشجعوا؟
بحاول قدر الاستطاع أن أشاهد الأولمبياد طوكيو لهذا العام، ونشجع اللاعب أحمد أبو غوش.
We will try our best to attend the Olympic Games, the upcoming Olympic Games, and we will absolutely cheer for our champion, Ahmed Abu Ghosh.
Fantastic. Ahmed Abu Ghosh, a great hero, of course, in Jordan, and a great inspiration. And who knows, both of you, and even your young sister, could become Olympic champions in the future. Gentlemen, thank you very much to both of you. And I would ask now if we can speak with Wael El Faraj, who of course is a leading athlete in terms of the work done at the Azraq camp. So if Wael El Faraj, if you're available.
شكرا لكم، إن شاء الله بنشوفكم أبطال أنتم كمان بالأولمبياد.
أول شغلة السلام عليكم وأهلا وسهلا، وهذا الوقت يعني حبيت أتعرف عليكم على الكل وإن شاء الله أهلا وسهلا.
First of all, hello everyone, and it's an honor for me to talk to you all today.
Wael El Faraj, it's our honor, absolutely. The first day when you were 13 years old, you saw the THF, the Taekwondo Humanitarian Foundation. They were setting up a demonstration in the Azraq camp, and you ran there and you put down the mats to help them have a place to train. Why did you want to help?
في أول يوم لك في الأكاديمية بس كان عمرك 13 سنة، أنت شاهدت فريق THF بيركب الآليات والمعدات ورغبت في المشاركة معهم ومساعدتهم. تقدر تشاركنا ليه أنت قمت بهذا العمل وليه أنت حبيت أنك تساعدهم في هذا اليوم؟
بس أنا كنت متحمس وكنت منتظر التايكوندو لا تيجي عن منظمة كير لحتى أبدأ بالمشاركة وأتدرب. فكنت نهاريتها كنت متواجد وشفت الكابتن عاصف هناك وشفت إنه عم بينزلوا أرضية التايكوندو، فحبيت أساعدهم بسرعة عشان نبدأ التمرين. يعني كنت متحمس كثير لأشارك يبدأ التمرين.
It's because I heard about the academy and I was very, very excited to participate in the training. So when I saw them putting the installations, I wanted to help so we can finish as soon as possible and pursue the
And by the looks of things, you haven't stopped training since. You work very hard. We saw on the video, your technique is very crisp, very fast. You're a top-level athlete. And after 1 year, you managed to achieve a black belt, which is amazing. How did you feel at that moment?
شاهدنا بالفيديو إمكانياتك وقدراتك الهائلة وواضح مهارتك العالية في التمرين وفي الأداء. ونود سؤالك، لما حصلت على الحزام الأسود اللي أنت استحقيته بجدارة، كيف كان شعورك؟
بس هي فحصي بحزام الأسود كنت حصلت على الأول على المملكة بالفحص، ولكن يعني كان شعوري يعني إنه بدأت مشواري. يعني صارت الشغلة إنه صرت أحلم أكثر، صارت الشغلة جدية. وكان شعور لأنه أنا أول مشارك بفحص حزام أسود، شجعت كثير لاجئين، وكان شعوري للاجئين اللي معي استشجعوا إنه يفحصوا أسود مثلي، فهذا كان شعور كثير جميل.
When I did the examination, I was the first to do that examination. So I felt very proud to inspire other players in the team so they can also have the examination and get the black belt. But when I gained the first prize, it was very, very like mixed emotions, because at that moment it felt real. And my motivation got bigger and bigger, and I felt that there's no way back from what I've achieved now. All I want is to achieve more and more.
And to do that, and I can see in your eyes, you're a champion. You have the kind heart of somebody who will help, but you have the dignity and the power of a champion. So it's very obvious. If it's this Olympics or the next, who knows? But on that journey, Asif Sabah, he means a lot to you. He's really carried you forward and changed your life. Would you like to say anything to your captain, Asif Sabah?
وائل، بتحب تحكي أو توجه رسالة معينة للكابتن عاصف اللي ساعدك من اليوم الأول وكان بجانبك، ويعني حسب ما سمعنا كمان من الأطفال الثانيين كيف هو الداعم الأساسي لكم في الأكاديمية؟
أنا خلال مشاركتي أو ترشيحي للأولمبياد، كنا أنا أستاذ عاصف، مش أنا طموحي إني أصل للأولمبياد، كان أستاذ عاصف طموحه إني أنا لاعبه وأصل للأولمبياد. كان مشوارنا أنا والكابتن عاصف مش إنه بس مدرب، كان كأخ، كأب، كمعلم، كمدرب من جميع النواحي. يعني جد إنه ساعدني بكثير شغلات، وكان في شغلات مواقف صارت مع بعضنا كثير حلوة، وأي شغلة بتذكرها حلوة في الحياة إني بتذكر الكابتن عاصف.
Oh, that's very inspiring. He stated that Coach Asif is not only a coach for him, he's more of a father, a brother, a friend. And every time he recalls good memories, it's with Coach Asif. And from day one, they dreamed together to reach the Olympics, and they will follow their dream till the end.
It's a wonderful dream and a wonderful opportunity. And I'm going to move now to Coach Asif with the last question. Coach Asif Sabah, you have done so much for World Taekwondo, so much for these young people. What is the motivation in you to try to help them, not just to become Taekwondo player, but to become a champion, even to go to the ultimate, to the Olympic Games? What is the motivation for you?
كوتش عاصف، لقد قدمت الكثير لهدول الطلاب في أكاديمية الأزرق. ما هو دافعك الأساسي للمشي قدما مع هدول الطلاب والوصول فيهم مش لأهداف قليلة أو معقولة، لا، الوصول فيهم لهدف كتير كبير اللي هو الأولمبيكس؟
اوكي، طبعا The answer to this question is simple. I am enjoying with my student only. This is answer.
Perfect answer, and very clear that they are enjoying working with you. And because all of them are gathered together, maybe they need to do some training today. You can make them work, make them sweat. Okay, thank everybody in the Azraq camp. Thank you so much. And I wish you the best in your dreams. Inshallah, you will go to the top level, which you deserve. And shukran from everyone at World Taekwondo. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next time. Keep training hard. Fantastic. Well, we see there from Claude and Vassilis talking about the administration and the organization to the reality, what it's really like for the athletes and their coach and their parents behind the scene. Okay, so we're going to shift our focus from the Azraq camp all the way to Rwanda now. So the Kalyvas camp is the oldest refugee camp in the nation, and it is where our next respondent will join us from. Lady Mbabazi from Kalyvas camp in Rwanda. I hope you can hear me okay, and I'll take some time for you to get into position. And of course, there we go. Lady Mbabazi, nice to meet you. And I understand that you can hear okay. Perfect. Okay, so my first question is, what did you think when you first saw Taekwondo?
Numvise ko umukino wa taekwondo ni mwiza cyane. Umukino wa taekwondo ni mwiza cyane kuko ugufasha mu mubiri, mbese ukora siporo neza, ukanamenyana n'abandi, ukamenya no kwisanzurana n'abandi.
She said she was very excited to see the sport of Taekwondo because she saw Taekwondo as a normal sport, not just as a martial art. And she was very excited to see other people who can practice Taekwondo and who are not on boys. Yeah.
Perfect. And of course, the man translating there, I think, is Placid Bagaboo, the president of the Rwanda Taekwondo Federation. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, very well. Thank you for the translation for both of the athletes. We have one more coming. Second question now for Lady Mbabazi is, how did you react when others told you Taekwondo was only for boys?
cyangwa wibajije iki abantu bakubwiye ko umvise abantu bavuga ko Taekwondo ari iy'abagabo gusa?
Umukino wa taekwondo ntabwo ari abantu benshi bazi ko ibintu bijyanye n'imigeri ari iby'abahungu gusa n'abagabo, gusa n'umukobwa nawe yabishobora.
It's normal that many people think that girls cannot kick, cannot do split or stretching, but for her, she had the courage of start Taekwondo, but because she knew that many girls can practice Taekwondo.
And she's practicing very well. I wanted to ask you, because not only are you practicing Taekwondo, you're doing competitions also. How do you feel in the moments before competition?
Ukora Taekwondo uyitoza ariko unakora competition. Uba wiyumva ute mbere y'amarushanwa?
Ndi kwihereza icyizere ko ndi butsinde, nhereza confidence no guma mfite amakuru gakeya kumva nirimo.
She said, of course, she has a little scaring. Yeah, she's somehow scared because competition is a competition. But she got the courage from his coach, and after having that courage, she competes well.
And you do indeed compete well, because you've been successful in regional, national competitions, winning medals. How did that feel the first time to win your first medal in a championship?
birumvikana bakora neza mu marushanwa kandi wakinnye mu marushanwa y'akarere harimo n'ibindi. Ni gute wiyumvishe ubwa mbere wambara uriya mudari watsindiye? Wumvishe umeze ute?
Numvise nishimye, bimereza icyizere ko nzagera no ku bindi birenze umudari.
She was very excited, and it was the first time for her to win at that level. And from that moment, she believes that she can achieve more in the future.
Absolutely. And we wish you the best for that future. We believe in you also, and any support that you need, the president will let the federation know, and we are here to support, not only in words, but in actions. So in that, I would like to ask you, what is your message for people in World Taekwondo? You have had a very difficult life, but now Taekwondo is giving you some hope. What can we do to help you? What is your message to us?
Barabizi ko wagiye uhura n'ibibazo by'ubuhunzi n'ibindi bibazo byatumye udakora imyitozo neza. None ariko federasiyo mpuzamahanga iri hano kugufasha. Ikintu cyose wifuza bakigufasha. Ni ubuhe butumwa cyangwa se ni ikihe cyifuzo ufite kuri bo, kuri federasiyo mpuzamahanga y'umukino wa taekwondo? Ni ikihe cyifuzo ufite?
Icyifuzo mfite ni uko nkatwe impunzi ntabwo tujya gukina hanze nk'ikipe y'u Rwanda. Icyifuzo mfite ni uko mwajya mudufasha natwe mukatugeza aho tugeze, aho abandi ikipe y'u Rwanda aho ugenda gukinira hanze.
Yeah, it's not easy for refugees to travel to outside the country because sometimes they deny the visa application. So she wants you to help her to compete internationally, especially in the World Taekwondo Championships, like Rwanda Taekwondo national team. So it's not easy for them to get visa and support to compete internationally. Yeah, so they want your.
Yes, and we need to provide that help because it is a long-standing problem to provide those visas to give you the chance to show your skills, but we're working on it. Keep reminding everybody so that they will give you that help. And also, just finally, Lady Mbabazi, I wanted to say on behalf of World Taekwondo, please keep training hard. You're a wonderful inspiration to all of us.
So bazabikoraho kandi bibakwijeje inkunga yabo. Ikindi kandi ukomeze ukore training cyane, bibakwijeje inkunga kandi ibyiza byose n'iterambere wifuza bazabigufashamo.
Murakoze.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And thank you too, President. Much appreciated. And of course, we are going to stay in the Rwanda camp at the moment here in Kaziba. And we're going to speak now with the next athlete, which is Parfait Hakizimana, who's a Paralympic hopeful refugee. And of course, we will have the opportunity to hear from Parfait now. And I'll let you get yourself into position. And when you are ready, welcome along. And Parfait, I'm going to start with a seemingly easy question. How did you first get involved in Taekwondo? Hello.
He's asking if you can speak in French or in local language.
Si tu préfères en français, c'est mieux pour vous.
Okay.
Tu peux répéter la question là?
Okay.
La question, mais mon français, ce n'est pas bon, mais qu'est-ce que c'est la motivation pour le premier temps entraîné en taekwondo?
J'ai commencé le taekwondo en 2004 et j'ai vu que le taekwondo, c'est une discipline qui est bonne. Et aussi, j'ai trouvé beaucoup d'amis et beaucoup de connaissances qui m'ont aidé dans la vie d'être calme.
I would pretend that I could translate that, but my friend, that's the end of my French. Placide Bagabou, we're relying on you. Si pour vous aider.
Yeah. He found Taekwondo as a good sport, which can help not only as a trainer, but also in a normal life. And he found family, he found training, club mates as another member of his family.
And of course, that family, you're also part of the World Taekwondo family, and we're happy to have you with us in that. In your life, you've had many difficulties. What does Taekwondo do to help you, to give you that moment of freedom?
Okay, mu buzima bwawe wahuye n'ibibazo byinshi. So ni gute Taekwondo yagufashije kugira ubwigenge, kugira freedom, kugira umutuzo no kubisanzura mu gihe ukarenga ibibazo wagize?
Okay. Nkuko Taekwondo nayigiyemo ndayikunda kandi mbona ari siporo yitanga icyizere, igatanga n'indero ku muntu, bitewe n'ibibazo arimo muri icyo gihe. Kuva nkiri muto, Taekwondo yafashije kumpa umunezero mu buzima, impa n'icyizere cyo kubaho nk'umuntu nk'abandi.
First time he loved Taekwondo, and I found many friends in Taekwondo. So after losing his family, mother and father, Taekwondo brought him hope. And the fact that he was not even living in his country, he found a Rwanda Taekwondo Federation and other members who helped him to have that hope to practice Taekwondo and to have a vision for himself.
Fantastic. And not only did you feel a part that they joined you as a family, now you are teaching many, many people. You have your own group that you're teaching. How does it feel to be the leader of that, to share that hope with the next generation?
Okay. Ntabwo wize gusa ahubwo wigisha n'abandi. Ni gute wumva kuba umuyobozi w'abandi ukabasangiza n'ibindi kumva nawe ufite nk'icyizere?
Cyambere nohera ko nuko nk'umuntu aba yagiye mu kintu afise intumbero, objectif. Ubu icyifuzo canje nyamukuru ko ari ugushika kuba umutaekondiste w'ukuri, nkashika kuri Saint Black Belt, nkigisha abandi, nkagira club yanje igahagarara neza, ikamenyekana muri WTF. Ubu nkaba mbona ikindyohera cyambere ni kuba nigisha abana muri club, abigisha nishimye kandi ndabyishimiye, kandi ndaryoherwa cyane iyo dushitse ku ntsinzi muri rusange na timu yanje umunsi.
It was one of his goals to establish a Taekwondo club, and he first managed to get a black belt to become a good coach, and he feels very happy to give, because he has that way of giving back to the society, because he received hope, discipline, vision through in Taekwondo. So his objective is to give back, and he feels very happy when he saw people learning from him, and small children learning Taekwondo and compete well. It feels good and courageous.
Very, very impressive, and we are very proud to hear that story. The final question, obviously you're an athlete also in the Paralympic Taekwondo. 2020 is Paralympic Taekwondo debut, the start. How does it feel to see this maybe as an opportunity this time or even next time for Paris?
Okay, ngubu Taekwondo yinjiye mu mikino Paralympic, kandi ushobora gukina byawo n'ubutaha. Icyo kintu wacyakira ute muri wowe?
Najewe nararyohewe cyane, nagize ibyishimo mu buzima bwanjye. Nabonye yuko ari nk'imiryango yose. Yego, nkumva yuko nshitse kuri ya ntego ya objectif yanjye ndayigezeho, kandi nkahamagarira n'abatonyi banje canke abakinyi banje bari inyuma ko bogira imbaraga bagakomeza bakagira ingufu nyinshi mu bikorwa barimo kugira bashike nabo ku rugero rwo gukina imikino mpuzamahanga.
He has never thought that he will be part of Paralympics, and he was very excited to hear that can be one of the Paralympians. And it was like another open door for him to the bright future. And his aim now is to be a good role model to others.
Fantastic. I can confirm you're already a great role model. Everyone at World Taekwondo, we offer our thanks. Merci beaucoup. Je suis fier de grandir aujourd'hui.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Lady, President Placid, and of course, Parfait. It's a perfect way to end. Take care, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. So incredible inspiration from the Paralympic side, which is, of course, the debut for Taekwondo, the first time ever in Tokyo, but also the Olympic Games, which is coming up in just about 33 days' time. And of course, we're delighted now to be joined by our final speaker, Abdullah Siddiqui from Afghanistan, who is now a refugee in Belgium. As we mentioned, there are 29 athletes in the refugee Olympic team, 3 of them in Taekwondo, Kamia Alizadeh Zanuri in the women's 57s, Dina Puryunis Langjarudi in the women's -49s, but the only man, and he is the man of the moment, Abdullah Siddiqui, who now joins us. Welcome. I hope you can hear us
everyone,
okay.
Yeah. Hello. First of all, I want to say thank you for everyone, for Taekwondo members, IOC members, to give me this opportunity to compete in Olympic Games. And I hope I can do my best in Olympics.
We hope so too. And we're going to go all the way back to the beginning, Abdullah. You've had a very difficult journey, we know that, but you started Taekwondo at age 8 in Afghanistan. Why did you start?
First of all, I wanted to start one sport, and I find that Taekwondo with the respectful, really, we think it's a clear and clean sport, I think. And I started to training there, and from when I was 8 years old, and it was fun for me first of all, and then I started competing in competition, small competition, and then to become a good player. I don't know, but I tried my best to become a good player.
I love the humility to say become a good player, because to win medals at the Dutch Open, German Open, Spanish Open, you are a very good player now, very talented, competing at World Championships. We are very impressed, of course. But I wanted to ask you, since settling in Antwerp in Belgium, what are the moments that stand out for you on this incredible Olympic journey?
First, when I heard that I get my scholarship from IOC, I heard that I can compete in international competitions, and I feel that I can achieve my goals from there. So I try every day at a hard training to start this moment.
And of course, those moments don't get any bigger than it was maybe just last week. How did you feel when you heard the IOC President Thomas Bach at the refugee team announcement ceremony, when he mentioned your name, that you were going? What was that moment of the end of that journey? You are now officially an Olympian.
It was a surprising moment. I had not expect that and when Thomas Bach, president of IOC, he announced my name. It was really surprising me, and I feel really, I don't know how to say, but it was really, I was really happy for this.
You don't need the words, your face says it all. You look delighted, as you should be. But of course, the realities, the Olympic Games begins in 33 days. You're fighting in 35 days, the -6 to 8 kilogram division, very strong division, of course, at the Makuhari Messe Hall in Tokyo. How do you feel about that, and what are your final preparations from now until that moment?
I'm trying my best to compete in Olympics. Yeah, it's a big competition, but I think every player has a one chance to get there, to go to medal, and one player and I have a chance to get a medal. So just I try my best to compete best there, and I hope I can get it.
Absolutely. And what does your schedule look like between now and Tokyo?
Now I feel more like confidence, and I want to get there, and I try my best and I work hard for it.
Absolutely, and we'll all be cheering you on. Of course, I mentioned -6 to 8 kilograms, strong division. Give me a sense of some of the big rivals that you would like to fight and to beat, and what would be a dream result for you?
I think when I was thinking, I have 16 players there, and all players are good, and I'm the one of those 16 players. So for me, is actually it doesn't matter with who I'm fighting. Just I want to try my best to win and to achieve my goal.
Absolutely, and we wish you the very best on that goal. You've had a very hard life in terms of refugee status, but also recently. I don't want to touch too much on your personal life, but how much would it mean to your late mother in terms of representing the family name at the Olympic Games? What does that mean to you?
It means like last year I lost my mother there Corona time. It was difficult, but when I heard now I can do Olympics competition. So in my family, I think I'm a hero for them, and they are really supporting me now.
Well, you're not just a hero to your family, you're a hero to us, Abdullah, and we wish you sincerely the very best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Go for it. Do your best.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much to Abdullah Siddiqui, and of course to all of the participants today in the first ever forum here on World Refugee Day. And I'm going to leave you with the closing words of our president, Dr. Chungwon Choue. We have no doubts that refugee athletes' performances at Tokyo 2020 will inspire millions of people around the world, just like we will see with Abdullah, and they will help to create greater awareness of refugee crises that our world faces. At World Taekwondo, we believe strongly in sports capacity to empower people and to motivate social change. We commend the IOC for the work they are doing in supporting refugee athletes, and we will continue to do the same through our events and our humanitarian initiatives. And of course, as we've heard from people who have benefited from those initiatives all across the globe, it's only fitting that we leave you with a final video. Of course, we wish you all the best, to be safe and to enjoy the Olympics and indeed the Paralympic Games as well. But from all of us here at World Taekwondo, we will leave you with a closing video with the best wishes to Abdullah and indeed to everybody, and a closing video from the Azraq camp to play us out. Thanks for your time and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy International Refugees Day.
أنا اسمي محمد الأيوب، عمري 44 سنة. صار لي عايش في المخيم ما يقارب 6 سنوات. ألعب تايكوندو منذ فترة، كملت تدريبي أنا وأولادي هون بالمخيم. صارنا نلعب تايكوندو شي 3 سنوات أنا وأولادي في أكاديمية الأزرق. حصلت على الحزام الأسود 1 دان أنا و2 من أولادي، رضا وعثمان. وأما دعاء فحاصلة على الحزام الأزرق. أثرت لعبة التايكوندو على حياتنا بشكل عام. صرنا نتدرب بانتظام. وفرت لنا الأكاديمية عدة فرص للمنافسة على مستوى العالم. شاركنا أنا وأولادي وحصلنا على عدة ميداليات ذهبية وفضية، وهذا الشيء أثر علينا بشكل إيجابي وخاصة على حياة أولادي. صار في عندهم دافع إيجابي للمنافسة. ساهمت لعبة التايكوندو بصقل شخصية الأطفال. صار في عندهم ثقة بالنفس، انضباط أكثر، صار في عندهم نوع من إدارة الوقت، كيف يقسموا وقتهم بين الدراسة والتدريب. أتمنى أنه تتاح فرص أكثر للمنافسة والمشاركة في بطولات سواء كانت افتراضية أو وجاهية في الحلبة، لأنه هاي المنافسات تعطينا طاقة إيجابية، تحفيز إلنا بالاستمرار باللعبة التايكوندو ونكتسب خبرات أكثر. أحب أشكر كل من ساهم بدعم الأكاديمية، وأشكر المدرب عاصف صباح اللي قدم لنا الرعاية وكان دائما معنا ويرفع من معنوياتنا ويشجعنا. وأشكر الأنسة فرح الأسعد باهتمامها بينا وتقديم الدعم وتشجيعها لنا الدائم. وأشكر كل الداعمين للأكاديمية الإنسانية للتايكوندو. هابي انترناشونال ريفوجيز داي.